UPSTREET friends, I'm so glad that you joined me today. I want to start off by asking you a question. Have you ever used a pair of binoculars before? They are just so cool to me. It's just so neat how you can see something up close that's actually extremely far away. For instance, if you were standing near a mountain and you saw a little speck running across and you used your binoculars, you might actually find that it's a giant grizzly bear. How cool is that? Well, there are lots of things in our lives that help us to see better. In fact, these things actually what they do is they help us to focus. Things like microscopes, telescopes, binoculars, even your glasses can help you do that. But we're going to actually be talking about something that you can't see that helps us focus. And what I'm talking about is faith. I've got some friends that are going to help us with our memory verse, and the memory verse actually talks about faith. So let's check in with Lorelai and Aiden and see what our memory verse is for the month of June.
Hi, my name is Lorelai. Hi, my name is Aiden. And we're going to go over the June memory verse. Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we cannot see. Hebrews 11:1. Bye.
Wow, thank you so much, Aiden and Lorelai, for helping us with our memory verse. And it was so great to see you guys the other day. Now, what they talked about in that memory verse was faith. Faith is trusting in something you can't see. How in the world can you trust something that you can't see? Well, it's actually a little simpler than you think. And I'm going to talk about how we can do that. And basically what you have to do is take a closer look. You'll see what I mean. We're going to play a game. Now, this game, what's going to happen? There are going to be some images that come up on the screen. But these images are very blurry and you can't quite tell what they are. So you're going to decide, do we need a microscope? Or do we need a telescope? You know, that has one knob and you have to look through with one eye. Or do we just need our eyes to look a little closer? So as these images come up, you decide, do I need a microscope, a telescope, or my eyes to figure out what the picture is? So let's start with our first image. Oh, and if you get it right, you give yourself a point, okay? So here we go. Let's see what our first image is. All right, look at this image very close. Do you think that you need a microscope, a telescope, or your eyes just to focus and see this picture? What do you think? All right, if you guessed microscope, you are correct. That's actually an amoeba. How cool was that? Yes, you have to look. Those things are so tiny. You have to look very, very, very close. So a microscope would be the best thing for that. All right, so let's look at our second image. Image number 2. All right, look very closely. What do you think that is? Do you think that you would need a microscope, a telescope, or just your eyes to see that image? All right, what did you choose? If you chose telescope, you are correct. That's a planet. Isn't that awesome? Telescopes are really, really cool. You can see things like stars and other planets. They're really awesome. Okay, now, image number 3. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got. All right. That's a hard one. All right, do we need a microscope, telescope, or just our eyes to see that picture more clearly? All right, you got your answer? If you guessed microscope, you are correct. Good job, friend. I hope that so far you're 3 for 3. If not, it's okay. We've got some more. Those were actually blood platelets. Oh, it's kind of gross, but it's really cool that there's stuff inside your blood because we just see liquid, but there's actually stuff in there. Isn't that neat? Okay, now we've got 2 more images. Here we go. Ready? Number 4. This is our image. What do you think that is? What could you use? Microscope, telescope, or your eyes? Which one? All right, if you guessed your eyes, you're right. That is just a pancake. Good job. Okay, now our very last one. Image number 5. Number 5. All right, do you need a microscope, telescope, or just your eyes? All right, if you said just your eyes, good job. That is a plate. Awesome. Thank you so much for playing with me that game. Now, it is one of our favorite times. It is time for us to sing and for us to worship. Now, the first song that we're going to be singing today is called Every Beat. We actually sang this song about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I love the words of this song because it reminds us that sometimes all we need to do is just to focus on God. So this is a time when we worship for us to do that, to put our focus on Him. Because every single beat of our heart is beating for God. And we want that to be our cry out today. We want that to be our anthem today. That everything we do, every beat of our heart is beating for God. So get up on your feet, let's stand and let's sing. Oh, and we have another new song called Only Focus. So I hope that you enjoy that too. All right, let's sing.
Darkness run and hide, you bring the broken back to life. Only you can, only you can. You set me free from every chain, you fill my heart with songs of praise. Only you can, only you can. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to your rhythm, to your rhythm. Every beat is calling out your name. You left the glory of your throne to bring this runaway back home. Only you can, only you can. You give me love, you give me life, you keep me dancing through the night. Only you can, only you can. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to your rhythm, to your rhythm. Every beat is calling out your name. Every beat is calling out your name. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. You move me, your freedom is consuming. I feel you rushing through me. I'll never be the same. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to your rhythm, to your rhythm. Every beat is calling out your name. Ooh, every beat is calling out your name. Every beat is calling out your name.
This is my faith, this is my focus, all of my days. I know where my hope is, I'll live it loud, I'll shout the chorus, because I know, oh, you're always for us. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. on looking, looking, looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking, looking, looking to you. I fix my eyes on you. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. I fix my eyes on you, on you, on you. This is my face, this is my focus. All of my days, I know where my hope is. I'll live it loud, I'll shout the chorus, because I know, oh, you're always for us. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And keep on looking, looking, looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking, looking, looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. I fix my eyes on you, oh yeah, oh yeah. Woo! You ready? Come on, let's go. Hands in the air, hands in the air. I know you're there, I know you're there. Anywhere, oh. Anywhere. I fix my eyes on you, on you. Hands in the air, hands in the air. I know you're there, I know you're there. Anywhere, I fix my eyes on you, and keep on looking, looking, looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking, looking, looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my only, you are my only focus. You are my only focus. I fix my eyes on you, on you, on you.
Hey everybody, I'm Erica and I'm so excited about it being summertime! Summertime, yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. One reason I'm so excited is because I have developed my very own STEAM lab! Look at it, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. Look at, wow. Isn't that so awesome? You're probably wondering what that stands for. Science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And I'm not totally sure how things will go in my lab this summer, but luckily, I have faith. Faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. You see? You see what I did there? I have faith that I'll learn a lot and probably have fun doing so. I mean, just look at this place! Check it out. Wow! Oh, wait. Perfect. Check out this microscope! Microscope. I've always been amazed how microscopes can let you see things that you normally can't see. Take hair, for instance. Ow. Ah, look at that one. See, it looks like a thin line. Mine's kind of curly. Ooh, you can't see it, can you? But put it under a microscope. Wow! Cool, right? What about the inside of a piece of grass? Put it under a microscope. Whoa! Look at that! The inside looks like a whole bunch of smiley face emojis. I mean, you never see that just by looking at grass. Today's Bible story is all about not being able to see everything, but remembering that God always does. It's like he's always looking through a microscope or something. So, let's take a look at this story and see what we can find. Unbelievable!
Wait, is that really what my hair looks like? Yeah.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Hebrews, chapters 11 and 12.
Gotta have a little faith, 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 faith. Keep the faith. Take a leap of faith. You know, a lot of people toss around the word faith lately. We say you can break the faith, or just take it all on blind faith. But true faith isn't blind at all. It's much more than just an inspirational word. True faith has to do with believing in all the things you can't see, because you start with what you can see. Now, we can't see God with our physical eyes, but we can see the stories of people who came before us. They lived in a broken world like we do, but they chose to follow God. They chose to trust His promise that one day He would send a rescuer that would make everything right again. The writer of Hebrews in the New Testament tells us about some of these men and women in God's story. People like Noah, people like Abraham.
Abraham.
When God called Abraham, he was already getting old. He and his wife Sarah didn't have kids.
Leave your country and your people. Leave your father's family. Go to the land I will show you. All nations on earth will be blessed because of you.
God was planning on sending His rescuer as one of Abraham's great, etc. grandchildren. But still, even though Abraham had God's promise, he still couldn't see the one God was sending. Still, Abraham went on a wild adventure, following God's call, and even his descendants, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, all chose faith in God. Moses, too, was called by God from the fiery heart of a burning bush. Even though he was raised by Pharaoh's daughter, he chose to stand with his own people and face Pharaoh's anger to win freedom. We read about it like this in the book of Hebrews.
Moses suffered shame because of Christ. He thought it of great value.
See, when you check out Hebrews, you discover this huge list of people who followed God by faith, so many that the writer just stops trying to list all of them. Oh, but we can't forget Israel's most important king, David.
Get up and anoint him. This is the one.
Even though God had promised David would be king, though, David spent years on the run from King Saul, fearing for his life. Still, he chose to trust God.
The Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need.
Now, none of these people in the Old Testament could see with their eyes how God was going to save His people, but they could see how He was working in their lives, how their needs were being met. So they chose to believe in His greater plan. They chose faith.
Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. That is what the people of long ago were praised for.
Now, here's where the story turns. In Hebrews, we discover that none of those people in the Old Testament received what God had promised here on earth.
That's because God had planned something better for us, so they would only be made perfect together with us.
God's plan includes all of us from the very beginning of creation. So at just the right moment, at the perfect point in time, God sent His rescuer, the hero, His very own Son, Jesus. Jesus showed us how to live. He showed us what God was like, and He told us the most important thing.
If you love one another, everyone will know you are my disciples.
Love God, love others. It's the heart of the whole story. But then, Jesus was killed, and His friends thought the story was finished. Period. Dot. The end. Until God raised Him back to life. Jesus has defeated death, and those who follow Him can live with Him forever. But how do you follow someone you can't see? Well, that brings us back to faith.
Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and He is the one who completes this journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to. So think about him. Then you won't lose hope.
The early believers, Peter and John and other followers of Jesus, had seen him teach and heal. They saw him after God raised him to life. But after Jesus returned to heaven, the believers continued to live by faith.
We have to speak about the things we've seen and heard.
Because of what the new Christians in the early church had seen, they could believe in what they could not yet see, the end of the story, where God makes everything right. They kept the faith, and because they did, we can choose faith too.
Woo! Take a look at this one. Any guesses on what that is? It's the inside of a carnation stem. It's amazing how things look so different under a microscope than they do just with our eyes. It makes me think of Hebrews chapter 11. It's where we can look back to all these people in history who had faith in God. Even though they couldn't always see how things would turn out, they believed God and his promises. They lived by faith. And you can live by faith too. In fact, having faith in Jesus and what he did for you on the cross is what makes it possible for you to have a relationship with God. Relationship status update. Even though we can't see Jesus in person, we can still have faith in him because we can see how he's worked in the lives of the people who've come before us. That's the one thing to remember today. You can know Jesus even though you've never seen him. If you want to know Jesus more and you don't know where to start, try talking with someone who has put their faith in Jesus. Or you can read the stories in the Bible of the people who trusted God long ago. There are lots of things we can see that can help us have faith. So, I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'm gonna look at a few more things under my microscope. Like maybe my nail. Let's check it out.
Oh, I need to wash my hands better.
This microscope tells you a lot.
Okay, guys, great job worshiping and singing, and good job listening to the story today. Now, I want to check your listening skills and see just how good you were listening. So I'm going to give you some clues, and I want you to see if you can guess the person from the Bible that is talking about, okay? So, clue number 1, he obeyed God because of his faith. He left the comfort of his home. He went to a place God told him to go. He did it even though he didn't know where he was going. Can you guess who that is? If you said Abraham, great job. He was definitely a man of faith, and he listened when God spoke to him, no matter what it was. He left everything and followed God. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so next, person number 2. Pharaoh's daughter raised him. He chose to stand with his own people. He faced Pharaoh's anger to win freedom. Any idea? If you said Moses, you are correct. I love all the stories of Moses. I mean, you've got him being like floating down in a basket, raised by the queen or the king's daughter. Then like the parting of the Red Sea, the burning bush, the plagues, all those things happened with Moses. So those are really cool stories to read. So I encourage you to go back and read those if you haven't. All right, next we have, he was scared of King Saul. He spent years on the run from King Saul. He became king after King Saul. If you said David, you're right. Now, a lot of times we just associate David with David and Goliath, but David was actually king, and he was actually chosen by Samuel because he was a man after God's own heart. So that's something to remember. And David was actually the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather of Jesus. So that's really cool. All right, next clues. Ready? He is the one who started this journey of faith. He is the one who completes the journey of faith. He suffered for us, and he took our place so that we can be right with God. You know that one. That's Jesus, of course. Jesus is the ultimate example of faith. He came to this earth to save us. He suffered for us. What a great example of faith. And he will complete our journey of faith as well. All right, and the last clues, they were Jesus' followers. They saw Jesus after God raised him to life, and after Jesus returned to heaven, they continued to live by faith. Any idea? You're such a great listener. That was Peter and John. Good job. Now, when we look back at all of these people that believed in God, you know, they couldn't see what was ahead. They had no idea. But they did know that God was faithful. And they did know that God was going to complete his promises. And so they chose to walk in faith. They chose to step every day in faith. And so I want to encourage you, just like them, to do the same. I want you to take that step of faith. I'm sure you're wondering, well, how do I do that? It's very simple. Look around you. Talk to your parents and ask them, how or when did you take a step of faith? When did you decide to put your faith in Jesus? Or what does it mean for you to put your faith in Jesus? It's a great thing to talk to older siblings or brothers and sisters or your family, your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles. If you want to talk to me, tell mom or dad to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you and tell you about the day that I chose to take that step of faith. The day that Jesus called me and said, I want you. I need you. It's your turn. Get up and come to me. I can tell you about that day. I remember it so vividly, and it completely changed my life. And if you've never made that step of faith, I encourage you to do so. Now, let's pray together, and when we get through praying, I'm going to give you a few announcements. God, we love you so much. We thank you for your word, where we can read about women and men of faith. And God, we can read about how you are faithful. God, we can read about how much you love us, how you sent your son to die for us, and how you want to have a relationship with us. God, we thank you for that. I just pray if there's somebody listening and they haven't taken that next step of faith, God, that they will choose to do so today. God, thank you for giving us a desire to want to follow you. God, thank you for wanting to have a relationship with us. And we thank you for the fact that we can sit here just like I'm doing right now and just talk to you so freely. And you are listening, and you hear our prayers, and you answer our prayers. And God, you love us so much. I thank you for every boy and girl. God, I just pray for them during this time in our lives where everything is just so crazy and uncertain. God, we know that you are in control, and we know that you made each and every person for a special reason and a special purpose. God, I just pray that you lead them to you so that they can find out exactly what that is. Thank you so much for us being able to have this online. I pray that we get back together very, very soon. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much for praying with me, and thank you so much for watching these videos. Now, I want to remind you that it's a new month. It's the month of June. As I said, we're learning about faith. We went over our memory verse today, so be sure that if you memorize your memory verse, that you record it and that you have your parents send it to me. There are new June activity bags. They are right outside the glass doors. You can grab one on Sunday morning as you're coming to church with your parents, or tell your parents to grab one. Maybe they're leaving you at home, I don't know. Or maybe you're staying with grandparents or something. But if you are watching this and say your family's not quite coming to church yet, that's fine. Your mom or dad can swing by anytime at the church. They're right outside in a tub labeled UPSTREET. Inside of these bags are lots of activities that go right along with these videos. So be sure that you grab one of those, and I encourage you again, if you do any of the activities, to send us pictures, videos to either our Kids Speak Facebook page or to Instagram or to me at bnell@heritagechurch.org. I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and we will see you all very soon.